Disc-Cussing disc golf channel. We're going to talk about a lot of different things that have to do with disc golf. But let's start with what is disc golf. I made some little notes on the side here because I tend to go off on tangents. I want to make sure I covered the tips that I want to cover. What is disc golf? It is a sport. It's a game. It's a hobby. It's a social event, therapy, de-stress. It's all those things combined. The great thing about it is even if you're bad, it's fun, which is a good thing because it takes a long time to get good. All right. Rules and vocab we're going to put in this video. Then we'll get to equipment for the next one. All right, basic rules. The idea is to get the disc, one of these, into the basket in as few shots as possible. Person with the lowest number of throws or shots, that's your score, your strokes, is the winner. All right. Basket is, you'll see it if you've seen it on the side of the road. They've got chains hanging down to catch the discs. That's your basket. When you first throw it, okay, wherever your disc lands, that's where it lies. This is an important rule. Your choices. You have two choices. When you go up to it, you can stand behind it. Let's say if this is on the ground, right? You can stand behind it and throw a different disc. Now, your foot has to be, a part of your foot has to be behind it. Think of an area approximately as big as a sheet of paper. Okay, so your foot can be here, your foot can be here, your foot can be here. Part of your foot has to be there. You can't be way back here and you can't be to the side. I didn't plan this out real well. Okay, that's where your lies. Now let's say you want to throw that same disc. You have to mark it. Here's a mini, thanks to my brother and 3D printers. So if your disc is sitting there and you want to throw it, you put and let's say the basket is that way, or going this way. You put your marker there, then you can pick up your disc. So then now your foot is behind the marker. So you can be anywhere in that area. So your foot can be standing where the disc is. Now, you know, if you're 150 feet away, you know, what's the point in marking it for one extra foot, right? I get that. But if you're closer, say you're 20 feet away, mark that disc because that's a full foot. You can move your foot up. Every foot that you move closer increases your percent of making it. So it's important to know how to properly mark them. All right. And if you make a mistake in one of those things, that's called a foot fault. All right. The other rules you're going to see on courses are mandatories. Usually they're designated by some sort of arrows. Sometimes there'll be a red M with an arrow on a tree pointing this way. That means your disc has to go around that tree. Sometimes there'll be a double mandatory, two trees with arrows or M's pointing in. That's a double. If you're lucky enough to have a course that has a triple, it's got one here, not too far, two trees plus something that goes across, whether it's a beam or rope. So you have to go through all of those, in between and underneath. So that's a triple mandatory. If you miss those, usually somewhere nearby, there's a drop zone designated. So if you miss your mandatory, this is where you have to go. Throw from there. Or sometimes there might be an island hole. So the mandatory is you have to land on the island. If you don't, there's a drop zone somewhere else that you go to. There's out of bounds. You'll see on signs, some of them will be clearly marked on whatever park you go to, like the first sign, some are not. Or if you are using an app, talk about that later, that will show you what it is. Sometimes you go to a tournament, there'll be specific rules. I don't really do tournaments, but about OB on certain holes. So if you do go out of bounds, there's a line and it goes clearly over the line. There's rules about where you throw from. So first you get a penalty for going out of bounds. So let's say I throw my shot off the tee box. It goes and it goes out of bounds. And it, I was in bounds for a while and then it went out. Well, wherever it went out, that's where I have to throw. I can come 3 feet in. And now instead of throwing my second shot, I'm throwing my third. All right. And so the same would apply if you didn't hit an island hole and you have to go to a drop zone. Instead of throwing your second, you're throwing your third. Okay. Beginner, I mean, it's good to know these rules, but when you're starting off, you might ignore some of those, but that's not important. What's important is you're having fun. All right. Another rule, which even the pros violate, is when you're in the circle. Now, the circle means the 10 meters around the basket, so 33 feet. Okay, and you're putting, there'll be another video for that. You can't step forward. Okay, you can't, so once you line up, if you're inside that 33 feet, when you let go, you cannot fall forward and touch in front of where your foot is. You can let go, but you have to come back and show control. You can't lose your balance or jump. You can't do that either. Now there's some controversy now on circle 2. If you're outside that 33 feet, you're the next 10 meters, 33 to 66 feet. Circle 2, you can jump putt, but there's violation with that too, because you're not supposed to be in the air. And you can lean, and we'll talk about that in another video. Okay, that is the basic rules of disc golf. Vocabulary: backhand, forehand. Backhand, where's my disc? The back of your hand is facing toward the basket that you're throwing toward. Okay? Forehand, forearm. The front of your hand is toward the basket. Or sidearm, it's also called. There's also a bunch of other types of throws besides backhand and forehand, but those are the two primary. There's roller, which you roll, you throw it on an angle to where the disc intentionally gets to the ground and can roll. There's ones where you have to go high up over something and you overhand, like tomahawk or hammer it up, and there's some where you still go up and over, but you have a different grip, like a grenade. And you do your thumb with some weird stuff. There's even one where you turn it upside down and kind of like lob it. Anyway, you'll hear hyzer and anhyzer, or Annie, they'll call it. Hyzer is, say I'm throwing a backhand and I'm right-handed. Hyzer, the tip of the disc is going to be below where you're holding the disc. So this is flat, right? That's hyzer. Okay, part away from your body, that would be hyzer. So if you go opposite of that, anhyzer, the tip of it that's away from your body is higher than where you're holding. There's purposes for each of those shots, which will be in other videos. Anhyzer, you'll hear tee box. That's where you're throwing from. Sometimes they're paved, sometimes they're wood, sometimes they're just dirt with a sign. This is where you throw from. You might see the word fairway on a description of a hole or something. Fairway is just the part of the course between the tee box and the basket. All right, that's most of the vocabulary that I can think of. All right, I'm at my 10-minute video. I'm gonna try and keep them all under 10. All right, so if you have any questions, or maybe I forgot to make a big one, leave a comment. I'll cover it in another video. Next video up is going to be equipment. See you then.